What's up, Next Gen Ministry leaders? Thank you for joining us today as we have a conversation about parent ministry in your local church. So whether you're a lead in the kids space or the student space, you are in the right place. So thank you for coming. We want to address two of the biggest challenges that you may face in parent ministry with consistently engaging your parents and providing them with the right timely resources to disciple and lead their kids at home. So our team today is going to share some ideas and insights on launching and building your parent ministry well. Whether you've done that already or you're getting ready to launch your parent ministry this fall or next year, we want to provide a space where we can brainstorm with you, offer ideas and resources. So this is a conversation that we want you to engage in. So go ahead and drop in the chat where you're calling in from, the church that you serve at, and so we can say hello. And feel free to ask questions at any point in the webinar. Use the Q&A feature in Zoom so we can see your questions. And as we discuss, if you think of things that you want us to touch on, questions to answer, things to address, please share those and we'll get to as many of those as we can. So I would love to introduce you to some amazing next-gen leaders at Lifeway that are going to lead this conversation. On my right, I've got Mr. Chad Higgins.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
He leads our church equipping team,
Yeah.
Which helps train and lead in local churches and equip them.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us.
And previously on the Lifeway team, I was a parent ministry specialist.
Yes.
So parent ministry is something I'm very, very passionate
Yes,
about.
absolutely.
But I'm super excited about the person on my right
Yes.
in this conversation.
We've got Delanee Williams, who is our kids ministry specialist. Say hey to our leaders, Delanee.
Hey, how are y'all? So excited to get to share with you today about some ways that we can support our parents.
If you're joining us, you've been to one of these webinars before, you're probably thinking somebody is missing from this
Yeah.
group right
Well-
now.
Well, missing is like,
Are they as like a sigh of relief? They're
you
like,
know, not
Hey, guys.
Well,
Whoa, what's that voice? Where's that coming from?
Hey, guys. Hey.
Hey, Zach
Hey.
Workun, student ministry specialist, joining us in the church lobby.
Coming to you live from the church lobby, here hanging out. Yeah, I got lots of great things to show and maybe take you to the resource center.
All right, take us to the resource center. I can't wait. So we're going to talk through our fictional church lobby, what kind of resources you find in there, how to leverage that space to connect with your parents. So, team, I think we need to come up with a name for our fictional church. Any ideas?
we can just say whatever we want. That's
Sure.
dangerous.
Yeah, I
for
mean,
me.
this is
This
live.
group is
So.
special.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so getting to create a fake church is like, I want to hear everyone's ideas. I often think of like some sort of element, you know what I mean? Like there are a lot of churches that
Like magnesium? Like a magnesium?
Sodium church.
well, yeah, no,
Salt and light. Nice.
It'll be
Sodium.
like, you know, like water. But I want to take a step further. Instead of like an element, things people like, right?
Oh.
Like Strawberry Baptist Church.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
nice.
Yeah, something like that.
Seeds of the
High
gospel.
approval rating.
Dude,
now.
imagine if every Sunday you showed up and there's just fresh fruit. Right? Like
You have to commit to the bit. You would have to commit
Oh,
to
you
the
gotta
bit.
lean
If you're
in.
Strawberry Baptist, there needs to be bushels every Sunday.
Yeah. Delanee, what do you think? What are you going to fix?
I'm thinking, now, does this have to be voted on by the church? Like if we're changing the name?
Are-
or is
We're
This
the
is-
committee.
Are we a committee-led
We
We
church?
are the committee.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, you could always go with your favorite number, something like that. But,
Wait, hold on.
you know,
How
just
does
name
that
it.
play out?
Well, if
What's
we're
your
choosing-
favorite number?
Mine's 14. So 14.
14
Baptist
Baptist Church?
14.
But, you know, I think another one that might be more welcoming, you know, you've heard Church of the Open Door.
Yeah,
What about if we did Church of the Automatic Door?
that's good.
Oh.
Opens for everyone.
Well, it lets them know that you're tech forward.
Exactly, exactly.
So I like the number idea. So I was thinking about this last night, and I looked up, okay, how many Baptist churches are there in the Nashville area?
Yeah,
There's
a lot.
149.
Oh.
So, you know, you got your First Baptist Church, your Second Baptist Church. We could step in as the 150th Baptist Church of Nashville.
Amazing.
Think
I
about the
like it.
merch.
The
like
150.
150 merch.
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, the
like-
merch designs
Oh,
itself.
that's great. Yeah.
People are just going to think your church is old, right?
True,
like
yeah.
it's like, oh, this church has been around
been
150
around.
years.
Wow. Yeah.
Do they change the name every year? Like
Yeah.
it's 151 now, 152.
All right, so Zach, you're already in our lobby.
In our lobby. lobby. I got a sign here. I'm gonna go ahead and get it replaced before we're done today. I just thought, in keeping with the times, really to appeal to the young people, the ways in which we could kind of bind them together, speak to their interest, and maybe even to like a theological, like, I don't know, quality. I'm gonna go with Justice League Church.
Wow. Wow.
And the kids area is the Fortress of Solitude.
It's not where I thought he was going.
The JLC.
JLC.
JLC.tv.church.com. Yeah.
I'm already imagining just the like copyright infringement.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
like,
It's fine. It's jlc.tv.org.church.
It's
It's fine, yeah.
nonprofit. There's probably workarounds.
Our fictional church is already tied up in legal battle.
Yeah, but our ministry is super. You know, it really is. It's super.
JusticeLeague.com. Can we get that? Is that available?
Yeah.
Can we make an offer? You know.
We'll see.
All right, Zach, from Justice League Church
Yes.
in our church
No,
lobby.
that's not the one we're
You're not doing that? No.
Here in the Fortress of Solitude.
Do we just all get to name the church when we're up there? You know.
Well, Riley, I wanted to share a little bit before I know my friends come up and share about some of the things that will be helpful and the things you can put in your Fortress of Solitude wall of resources, is the fact that you should have one. Whatever size church, wherever you're at, you have got some kind of space, lobby, wall, shelf, or room to put one, because I think for every kid, student, and next gen ministry, you want parents and guardians to know where to find the stuff. It is the best place that they could collect what they need to collect, but more than that, where you can collect from them. Gone are the endless emails of, hey, I need that form, and utilize this space to get the things you need from them, whether locked mailbox, a touchscreen tablet, have it be the easy place to walk up into and collect what you need. I even love the idea of staffing it with a student and a clipboard if they're collecting forms for the next event or registrations, or even if they're handing out schedules or calendars. It gives a staffed, visible place for folks to see what's next, collect what they need from you, and for you to stock what you have. Some of it can be highly seasonal or even timeless, but I think one of the biggest things that this space could afford and offer you is a chance to collect what you need from parents. It's really hard to run them down. You're busy on a Sunday and a Wednesday, but let the space speak for and stand in for you. It is worth the investment of time and resources and design for you to have the right kind of area for folks to find what they need. As digital as families are, the visible reminders that are both tangible and centralized are key. Now, figuring out the right place to put it, I will leave to you as your mission, but find the high traffic areas where you can have what you need to collect forms, collect payments, hand out calendars, and keep ministry alive and informed and visible in the places that you serve.
Thank you, Zach. Chad, I want to throw this question to you. We live in a much more digital world, right? And we see even church lobbies, they're maybe more minimalist, streamlined. We're trying to simplify things. But why is it important to have a physical space in this digital age to collect parents?
So one of the things, if you're starting a parent ministry, one of the things is the reality of continuing the conversation, right? So a lot of churches are guilty, and I mean, over the years, mine definitely included, of, you know, one day we'll talk about parent ministry, like really strong, or it may not even be parent ministry, like whatever that big initiative is, right? And we'll talk about it for a little bit of time, but you can't continue to like only talk about one thing forever, right? One of the things that a placement or a space inside of your church does is it sets it up to always have a visual reminder of those things that are really, really important. So as we talk about expectation to families, right? We talk to families and we even cast a vision of you're the primary discipler inside of your home, those type of things. We want to continue to help and resource parents in that way. So anytime we're able to put visual reminders in spaces like our lobbies, It's a helpful resource for parents to be reminded, man, these are the things that we want to help you and resource you in. So the other thing, as Zach talked about, it's also a place to go to receive or to drop off. Man, I don't know how many times I've seen in churches of like, hey, drop off your form to Susan. If you're new inside of your church, you have no idea who Susan is. And so being able to point to a specific location allows for some clarity inside of that. Also, put yourself in the shoes of someone new, right? As they walk in, they're looking around your church lobby going, okay, what do these people value? What are they thinking about? What are they talking about? If you're wanting parent ministry to be one of those key champion things inside of your church, or we just look at statistics, I mean, as we talk about kids living out their faith beyond them living in a home, like the faith of mom and dad is extremely, extremely important. And so we want to resource parents for those conversations. So being able to see it every week is a good reminder, because they may not see it on your website or things like that.
Yeah, it shows your commitment too. Like we're setting aside a space committed to our parent ministry. A question on the logistics. So a lot of churches have a check-in area, dropping off their kids at Sunday school or children's church. Should that be the same area? Could we leverage that space? Does it need to look different? You know, if we've got parents coming in, maybe not dropping off their kids.
I think a lot of this, and I love what Zach said, no matter the size of the church you are. And so this is something that, in my opinion, scales really well. Like, you don't have to be a church with a massive budget to provide just some simple resources. It's why we wanted to set up just a small corner with just a few books. Because, I mean, we've all been to the really, really large church that could set up an entire room of like resources. And I'll challenge you, like, if you're a church with resources like that, utilize it to get people to engage in discipleship outside of your building. And so helping them get connected to things in that way is good. But even if you're a small church with not a lot of resources, you may not be able to give out like some of the books or the things like we're talking about. One of the tips and tricks that I did for many years is on those books, I created my own QR codes that went to like, you know, Amazon or those kind of places with the resources that I trusted. So parents could pick it up, they could scan it on their phone and immediately get those resources. So yeah, it wasn't something that we could give away every week to everybody, but it was a way that we could help them know where to get it and where to find it, those kind of things. Yeah. And so that was always super, super helpful.
There's a question in the chat that I want to set up, but Zach, I'd love for you to slip in here and help us answer this. I think this is a really interesting perspective. Justin here asked, what about resourcing parents who are not involved in church on Sunday or at all? So is there an evangelistic type of perspective we can take on parent ministry, serving our community and parents and equipping them?
Yeah, so we'll talk about it at the end a little bit, kind of making a much to do of having a resource center. But I think this particular conversation is trying to help those, like Chad shared earlier, that are new enough that are afraid to ask. If they're not there, utilize the email channels when you collect emails from students. Utilize the social media channels as you talk about it. But this is a great place to take pictures of stuff. Like you've almost set up a little like oh, hey, here's a great spot to set up and talk about a parent resource. So again, just like we're doing today, take, steal, modify, make it your own. Set up, design your corner, set it up. If there's a new book of the month, set it up, iPhone, clip, cam, go, and talk about it so they can see, drop a link in the story. And then now you've got a little broadcast corner for talking about parent ministry on a regular basis.
And I'd be an advocate for, if we're carving out space in our building, and we're making that commitment, there should be a space online presence too. Like on our website, people are
physical spaces,
church.
digital spaces.
Dude,
100%.
I have never thought about that.
Of your own QVC corner? And you.
Well, no, but of utilizing that space on your social media. I don't know why.
Earn my bagel today. My bagel today.
Well, because it's the reminder. It's the way to take it. You're you're bridging the gap.
Yep.
You do your social media account, those kind of things.
Well, it's your QR code, right? Literally, hey, I can't give everybody this book or everybody this board game or everybody this Bible, but we recommend these.
Yeah.
Because isn't parent ministry right now just curating the recommendations for what you would do? Everybody wants to discover it. Help them discover it through different channels.
You mentioned something I want to ask about because you mentioned it very briefly. You mentioned a locked mailbox.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have that over there. Tell me more
Well,
about it.
Nathan wouldn't let me rip it off the front of his driveway. But the idea of a locked mailbox, either for two things. One, payments. I know that a lot of things now are digital, so you may be collecting things either through ACH or Stripe or scan codes. But if you're still collecting sensitive forms or sensitive checks, monies, cash, that's a great lockbox that you can have. Another one is prayer requests. I think, again, there's a lot of digital ways, but some of your folks are analog. But more than just the things that go in the box, lifting up that this is a place to collect both monies and prayers identifies the values in your ministry. We have stuff going on, but we also spiritually will be praying for those that let us know how to.
Well, and let's be real honest in student ministry for a moment. If you're a parent who has had to turn in a camp form,
Yes.
and you give that, you have to now, if you want to deliver it to the student pastor,
Yeah.
you got to give your whole camp check and form
Yes.
to your 7th grader
Yeah.
to take to the youth minister. Real
Let's
talk
cut-
for a moment,
let's cut
boys.
the middleman out.
How
Yeah.
how many times have you found just like the random camp checks
Right.
like stuffed in the couch cushion because
Well,
the kid forgets to hand it
It's
off?
it's no, it's the 8th grader that gave you the check during the 9-square match, and you didn't want to take your turn out of line, so it gets folded up in the wallet. I've
a little
washed.
sweaty.
we're telling truth.
We're
today.
telling truth today. I've washed a few camp checks. There's nothing more embarrassing than calling Stephanie and being like, "Hey, I need you to rewrite it because I washed
Yeah.
it."
Well, and it's nice, right? Parents see it in the lobby. It's where parents are going.
It's
They're able to drop
it's
it
one
off.
more reason they should drop by and go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Which is important. I think having a multitude of resources for different things
Different
in this
reasons,
space
yeah.
continues to bring people back to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we even got a friend that's got some reasons to go.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, where'd Delanee go? Oh, wow. She's in our church lobby. Delanee is set up at 14th Baptist Church,
14th Baptist
Nashville,
Church.
Exactly.
or JLC, whatever
Exactly.
you want to be calling it. Delanee is going to talk through some different resources that you can stock in that corner so that you can support your parents as they come looking for help.
Most definitely. I think one of the most important parts of any of our Next Gen ministries, but especially kids ministry, is our parents, how we can support them. So many times we spend all our time with kids and all the logistics of that. And sometimes unknowingly we may neglect that ministry to parents. And so as Riley shared, I wanted to highlight just a few of them. It's by no means all the resources but just some that I wanted to show you that maybe you already have that you haven't been highlighting, or maybe ones that you can refer to and highlight and show to your parents. And so first of all, I want you to think about your curriculum. Any curriculum that we're using on Sunday mornings, we want to make sure that we're using the most of it, getting everything out of it that we can, and showing our parents ways that they can continue that discipleship at home. And something that we do with all of our curriculums is we make sure that that's a priority. So if it's Bible Studies for Life, Explore the Bible, Hi-Fi, or Gospel Project, each week we provide a link or either a QR code. Here's an example on one of our activity pages where parents can scan this, and then it will immediately take them to a landing page on our ministry grid. Parents will log in, and then they'll be able to select the session that they would like, and it's going to provide helps for them during the week to help continue teaching the Bible story. So there are worship prompts, there's prayer prompts, ways to continue to tell that story each day. And so that's something you want to make sure you do. Also, you want to think about Bibles. That's one of the questions I would receive many times. I want to get my preschooler or my child a Bible. What do I need to look for? What do I need to get? And so I just happen to have a few, or a couple, I guess, right up here on my shelf. And I want to show you our preschool Bible, the Read to Me Bible. I love this one. It is a full text Bible. And a really neat feature that this has is it has pictures throughout. They're biblically accurate, pictures, and that's so important for any Bible, especially preschoolers as well. And then as you look on the back of that page, you'll see the Bible story written in age-appropriate vocabulary, and it's younger preschool friendly and older preschool friendly. And you'll even notice that there are some bold type words. And so if you have a younger preschooler, if a family has a younger preschooler, then you would suggest that the parents read only those bold-faced words. And so that's going to be a shorter part of the story. But then for older preschoolers, they would read the entire story. And so that's a feature I love to show parents, to help them know how they can be discipling their children at home. And then we have the Explorer Bible. You probably heard much about this. This is so exciting. It's been out for about a year, almost 2 years, and it has so many different helps for parents. There's illustrations in here for kids, there's timelines, there's QR codes all through it where they will link to different videos, activity pages, and discussion questions. So when parents are saying, you know, my child has a question about this, where can I find it? Where can I find more information as they're reading the Bible together? Then they can scan that QR code, and then they'll be able to see that, watch those videos together. And then there's another Bible I wanted to highlight. It's called the Grace Study Bible. And this is brand new, just became available October 1st. And it is a Bible that is for all types of dyslexia or other reading challenges. And so it has a special type font in there that's going to help aid in those situations, and also added space throughout the Bible as well. And so you want to make sure to look into that to provide tools for some of those families that would need that for their children as well. And so also there's the day-to-day activities. When parents are saying, okay, this is great, I need a Bible for my child, but my child is 3 years old. What can I do? What can my child learn from the Bible and all that? Well, so we have some helps, and some of those are called Bible Skills for Kids. And so this is a great tool that helps parents know what are age-appropriate skills that my child can be learning to provide that foundation for Bible skills. And so this goes from preschoolers, so babies, all the way up through preteens. Then we also, I'm sure kid ministers, you've had parents say, my child is asking these deep theological questions. What do I do? Can I email the pastor? Can you talk to the child? What do I do? Well, we have a tool called Big Pictures Questions and Answers. And so this is very helpful for situations like that, where it has the question and also provides that answer for parents. And so we have that one. And then we also have a tool called Ages and Stages. And this explains 10 biblical concepts, and it's foundational truths for babies all the way up through high schoolers. And so you get to see how the foundational truths build on one another as a child grows. And so this is great and helpful for parents to know, to support them, to know what my child can understand at what age, what is some language that I can use to help teach these biblical concepts. And something that I think is really important, well, it's all important, but especially with this, with those parents that are looking for what's something day to day, you know, as I go, how can I start some of these conversations about some of these topics I might not know as much about myself. There's this book called Every Age and Every Stage. And so this goes deeper in that ages and stages and talks about each of those biblical concepts, and then gives examples that parents can use, parents can do from babies all the way through high schoolers again. And so those are some you want to think about, just day-to-day type questions that parents may have and ways that they can disciple their kids as well. And then there's one other time, or a couple other times in which you think about especially whenever children begin asking questions about becoming a Christian. I think that was one of the most frequently asked questions I had as I served on church staff. My child's asking questions, how do I know if he's truly ready to become a Christian? And so here is a resource called What is a Christian? And so this is exactly that. It's designed to help parents walk through these questions and answers that kids may have about understanding what it means to become a Christian. So there's also activity pages in there and helps for parents, and even a note to parents about how you can use this guide to help go to explain what it means to become a Christian during that such important time in the child's life. And then one other thing I want to highlight is when we talk about different times of the year that parents are really looking for that support. What can we do? And I want to highlight a couple for Christmas. It's hard to believe that we're already at that time of year, but here is one that's called Way to the Manger. And this is a daily a book that has each day that helps. It's an Advent study with that, and so helps parents celebrate that as well. And then we have a free Advent, 4-week Advent guide that's provided by Lifeway Kids that you can download, print it out for your parents, and then place it in your corner, your resource center as well. And so, as I said, these are just a few of the resources that we can use to help support our parents and partner with them as they disciple their kids at home.
Awesome. Thanks, Delanee. If you can't tell, Lifeway's pretty committed to creating resources that can equip churches. One of the ones that she highlights that I love that we take this seriously. So she mentioned the ages and stages, big picture questions and answers, and the Bible skills for kids. Those are all embedded in the different Sunday school curriculum that we write. Like our curriculum isn't committed just to giving you, here's the hour of content you need on Sunday.
Stuff goes out.
It's a holistic ministry experience when you use Lifeway curriculum.
Well, and that's one of the things, again, and you said it right, we are committed to resources, and I hope that folks always get a little sense of just how many different kinds of things that we have beyond just the stuff that we can use during like a teaching or program hour. And this is why I think one of the reasons to put them visible for other folks, because we forget, right? Like we forget what's available. We don't always have exactly the recommendation to mind, but giving them the chance to browse, see, curate is so important. And again, like Delanee shared, some of it can be really fun and seasonal, where you get the chance to not have to do every week or every month, but maybe every quarter or every like twice or 3 times a year, move things around, freshen things up, drop a new resource, talk about it online, feature it. But it's a way to connect. Again, what we talked about at the beginning, engage and equip parents beyond just the time that you have their students. There is so much demand on your time for a Sunday or a midweek gathering. And so having the things that might help connect the dots. There's a few even behind Chad on the student side of things. So there's kids, like family devotional and ongoing things. There's student devotionals from lifeway.com. There's teen, youth devotional stuff. And then follower, that's kind of the big questions that students would ask. And so I think there's all kinds of new believer, deepening discipleship, and then continuing things that would be options for families, but also in the ways in which it shows that you have a width and a bandwidth beyond just the hours that we're at the church campus building.
One person in our chat kind of mentioned this tension that I'd love for you to address of feeling the pressure as a kids pastor, student pastor, leader to have all the answers to the right questions, be the solver of the issues with, okay, do I need to be that person, or do I need to equip and support parents? And just talk about that tension.
I think the tension is, we tell this to our student ministry friends, like there's too many changes and trends and things that you could always have the answer. And so I think the role that I see a lot of ministry leaders in is mentoring and curating. Like you can't write all the resources, you can't find all the resources, but if you can help recommend or curate those things, people want to learn in the ways in which they want to learn. People want to learn in their own time frame, which they want to learn, but they don't always know where to start. And the good discipleship question is, what's next? And you laying out for folks potential next steps is really key.
So Delanee, we know in our churches there are a lot of parents that are asking for help, want resources, but there's also parents that you encourage them to come find resources, and they may have more of a passive approach to that. Lifeway Research has done some studies recently, and one of the big issues that senior pastors are mentioning is apathy in their congregation. So how do we encourage parents that this is important, like try it out? It might be a hurdle for some to take a resource and lead a family devotional, but how do we encourage parents to take that step?
Right, and I think there's a lot of different things you have to consider. I think the fact that you're providing the resource is key because it's easy to even say, okay, well, if they're not going to take it, then why do I even need to provide it? Because you never know when someone really will need that resource and they'll take it. But then I think it's also the highlighting of different resources. It's maybe you even highlight just a little part of it and show how important it is. Maybe it's parents that have used these resources and have talked about what a difference it's made. I think so many times, even going into what the question was for Zach about the pressure that we feel like we have to be the one always communicating. Why not leverage some of the other parents in your ministry and their ways that they can communicate and not peer pressure to the other parents, but just to help them see and influence the others that this is important. And, you know, just a testimony, if you will, about the importance of discipling.
I love that you mentioned that connection. We're going to dive into that more a little bit later, I think. But it's not just you connecting with your parents, it's parents connecting with other parents too, and leading by example those conversations. I had a question here from Kevin. He just is asking, is Zach or Chad available to man my parent resource area once a month? He just thought
no, that's fine. You
know,
can put that in.
provide?
It's on Fiverr.com. Username JLCchurchpastor.com.
Oh, okay, there it is. Perfect. Yeah, we'll get that domain locked down for sure.
Fifth Sundays. That's right.
Yeah,
Fifth Sundays. Yeah.
So next in our resource corner is Chad Higgins, and he's going to talk through resourcing your parents and equipping them to have conversations with their kids. Really excited about this resource that Chad's going to share. Take it away, Chad.
Welcome to Strawberry Church over here. So I will say here, the invitation for Zach or I to man your booth. I know this isn't what this webinar is about, but this is a great opportunity for someone to serve in student ministry or kids ministry who are, you know, you always have those hesitants, the ones that are like, well, I don't know how good I'm going to be with kids. You know what I mean? This is an amazing place to put somebody and ask them to serve in kids or student ministry that may have a busy schedule or may not be the greatest teacher, but can connect with people. This is a wonderful place to invite somebody and an additional way to serve. So as we talk about resources, I always want to create a space that is answering questions. And so over the years, if you start to build a parent ministry resource center, whether it's a corner, whether it's a desk, a table in your lobby, whatever that may be, know that you may start small, but if you're at that church or you're in ministry over a longer period of time, every time, I want to challenge you this, every time a parent asks you about a question or is wanting like to be resourced in a certain area, that is now a new book for you to find, a new resource for you to find. So we wanted to highlight a lot of things, but I want to encourage you that over years and spans, you can really build a great space for parents and even students to be able to look. The other thing that this does that I think is really, really important is it starts to help your parents know, like, hey, I can come to my pastors for recommendations on things. We all know that we live in a culture now where people Google search everything, and there are a lot of resources out there that you may not trust or may not align theologically or all of these kind of things with you and your church. This is a great place to establish trusted resources that your church stands behind that I think is really, really important in this. I want to point to something because this comes out of a need of that we continue to get questions on. This is a new resource for us. These are parent partner cards. We continued to hear from youth pastors who are asking the question, man, how do I help my parents answer these big questions? And you probably have parents that are asking big questions. I know the start of many parent ministry, it starts from actually that place of parents going, man, how do I talk to my kid about them always being on their cell phone? Or how do I talk to my kid about LGBTQ or even how do I talk to my kid about tragedy, right, that may happen in the world, or even down to these great things like Delanee talked about on the kids' side. How do I talk to my kid about salvation or baptism? Those kind of questions as well. We wanted to create a resource that allowed us to basically have a lobby presence, but a plethora of resources that parents could really dive into. We know that you only have so much space, right? Your pastor may not allow you to take up the entire wall inside of the lobby. And so we wanted to represent that too. These places don't have to be huge or expansive. And so here's what the parent partner cards are. So they all fall into these kind of 5 big umbrella statements. So we have discipleship, culture, identity and purpose, relationships, and mental health. Amongst these 5 cards, these represent almost 80 different conversations. So on the mental health card, you have conversations on when to get help, conversations about getting help, finding Christian therapists, teens facing depression, parents facing depression, things about anxiety, things like that. On culture, you have everything from big technology questions, national tragedies, a loss of a loved one. We have relationship things on pornography, sex, choosing good friends. But the way that this would work, if parents have questions on any of these, they can grab one of these cards, they can scan the QR code, and then it takes them to a website specifically designed for a phone to be able to watch videos, pull up PDF guides to help them talk through those. So there's conversation starters, there's how to navigate those questions, there's videos over the big sections in there that parents can watch on their own. For many parents that are wanting to have those conversations, for a lot of them, they're just going, where do I start in that conversation, and wanting to feel a little bit more resourced to where they're not going into those conversations completely blind. So they're able to walk through that on their own. They're able to engage in that conversation. One of the things that I think is helpful in every single one of those websites that they scan that QR code, the starting place and the starting video that they watch is really helping the parent and challenging the parent to begin natural conversations with their teenager. Because oftentimes, even before diving into this big topic, we've all seen those families where parents and kids are already distant in their communication with each other. And so we may want to start there. So this is a great resource that I would point to. It's called Parent Partner. You can find it on our website through the .com. But it's a really great resource as helping parents answer those really, really tough questions, giving them resources. This is something that if I were to roll out, here's exactly how I would roll it out. I would call a parent gathering. I will say this right now as we transition. As you're building a parent ministry, I want to say this very delicately. Parent meetings are unbelievably boring, all right? And when you call a parent meeting, you immediately have all the parents in your church think they know what to expect by coming to your parent meeting. It's why a lot of times we have really low attendance at those kind of things. Because I don't know about you, you probably go to a lot of meetings and work, and that may not be the most fun thing that you've ever done. One of the things that I would encourage you is, even in some of the language of hosting a parent party or a parent listening session, those type of things, to engage parents in that way. These are a great resource that you can buy these cards, hand them out, and explain to parents exactly what those are. But can I encourage you in this? When they gather, have fun with them. One of the best resources that your church has is each other. Parent ministry is beyond just things that we put on a shelf or things that we point to. Because the thing about a space is it's more than just the things on the shelf, it's the opportunity to gather. Everything that we've talked about today is people behind here engaging, checking in. It's meeting actual needs that parents have. The opportunity for you to gather your parents together in a room and not just tell them about the next thing or the next date, but to create space in a listening party to hear from them, to know what's actually going on, because your families have unique needs. And those are opportunities out of that to be able to listen And it may not even be stuff that we've talked about. Maybe for your parents, they're dealing with a specific thing because you're in a unique place. And God's designed you to minister and care to those people. So it's the opportunity to hear about the need that they have, to stand in front of your booth and shoot out on social media. Hey, at our listening party, I heard this over and over again, and I want to encourage you to pick up this. And it may not even be something you buy. It may be a PDF document that your team creates, or an opportunity just to connect and get to know those parents at a deeper level. All right. So guys, I'm kicking it back to you all. Let's say we're going to, as our new church
And our committee.
and our committee,
Party planning
we are
committee.
hosting
Our
a parent
next gen
party.
committee is now formed. Yeah, in session.
What is some advice that you would give?
Well, Chad, you said it really well. So I think I like planning a good event around a new thing. If you do not have a parent resource center, I would get it ready and make much about it. I would have cupcakes when you unveil the wall or the shelf for the happening, and let that set the tone for how you want to equip. Chad, you said something that I think is really important to repeat. A parent meeting is not to deliver more content to them. Like if the parent meeting was you twisting their arm to get them to read the email by being there in person, then they don't necessarily value that highly. Time is precious. Content can be delivered a lot of different ways, but connection can only happen truly when we can get them in the room together. So the conversations we hope for, the content that we'll pick up because of the conversations that are happening is critical. So have those parent connection times, those parent parties, based around the ways in which we're going to learn from each other and get connected to you, the ministry leader. So that's how I would start. Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan has this question that you kind of addressed there. I'd love to get your thoughts on it too, Delanee. This is a situation that I think a lot of people find themselves in. Jordan said he's a new student pastor at a church, less than a month. He's learning that there hasn't been any history of parent ministry, discipleship that's going on. And he's trying to figure out, what is my first step? So you kind of mentioned get the resource center, which I think is more than just having things for them to
It's
grab,
more than books
but
on a
it's
wall. That's
to
right.
meet
Yeah,
the
yeah,
parents,
yeah,
right? To
yeah.
connect with them, say, hey, I'm going to be in this corner. I want to meet the parents, and then maybe launching that
Yeah.
into your parent party kickoff. What are some of the other essential first steps, Delanee, of just creating relationships with parents and starting this thing?
Right. Well, and I think exactly what Zach was saying about building connection. Learn the parents' stories.
Yeah.
Learn their name, how to say it, how to spell it. Those may seem like, those aren't important steps, but the key is they are, because you're connecting with them. They're seeing that they are important to you. You're earning trust with them. And I think it's also listening to parents too.
Yeah.
Identify parents that are involved in a church that that have already shown you support. That there may be some that said, I'm praying for you. How can I pray for you? And ask those parents to share into, or to pour into you, to share what are some things that would be helpful for them as they're discipling their kids, and listen to them and see from their perspective. And so leverage that trust that you've already built with parents to help give you some of those ideas. So it's not you coming up with it just on your own.
Yeah.
that's good.
So that kind of answers this question from Jennifer of, do you need to have someone man the corner? I would say,
if you can,
It's not all the time, but
as
like,
often as you can.
yeah.
I think those high traffic times of like, if worship's letting out for the weekend, or if there's, if there's a check-in moment, I think if you, as often as you can, but part of the reason the corner exists is to be there when you can't.
Right.
I think that's one of the things that it gives it it's flagged, it's visible. It's a way to, again, back to the beginning, to collect from them what they need, to resource when they need, to give them a chance to kind of maybe there's sometimes it's not manned or staff because they do want to like pull the card or take the thing with them. But I think as often as you can make those connections, your ministry for your students or kids is highly relational. So should your parent ministry be also.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Can I want to add one more thing to, like, if you're starting this, like from ground zero, parent ministry is student ministry.
Yeah.
They're really one and the same in kids ministry, right? Like our next gen space, if you're not ministering to both, like you're missing a big chunk of how to like really win students and help students grow in this process. I saw a question earlier on there about, well, what do we do about parents who don't come?
Yeah.
My big encouragement, if you're starting from ground zero, is relationship. That doesn't just happen with kids and students. My challenge is as you have volunteer leaders taking care of students at the end of your program, be out. And so in the kids ministry area, that may be a check-in when your kids
check out
of connecting with those parents. Instead of trying to take care of all the kids' need on that side, transition in your brain.
Yes.
Okay, I'm moving into parents connecting with parents. This is really important for student ministers because student ministers, we have much more of a drop-off culture. You've got to get out of your student space. Run to the parking lot.
Put the safety vest on and get out to the middle of where they are.
What I want you to see is you're building trust with parents, especially if they don't come to your church and they never see your lobby. The only thing they see of your student ministry is that drop-off parking lot that's probably wild with middle school kids throwing footballs everywhere. And there may or may not be great adult supervision out there.
Right.
So if you can move out there, get in those windows, connect, meet those parents. And I want to encourage you in that middle school age range where they're still getting dropped off and picked up, this is a great opportunity to meet mom and dad who do not come to your church and invite them. Don't miss the opportunity that in really great parent ministry, you have the opportunity to share the gospel with a parent who may not be connected to your church. I hear so many youth ministers, student ministers get really discouraged because these parents don't come. Like that's the goal. Like our goal is to go reach them with the gospel. Like you have the most precious thing in the world to that parent of their kid there. You have an open door to that parent who does not attend church to share the gospel with them. They may be dealing with church hurt of reason that they're not there, or they just may not know Jesus. And so don't neglect the opportunity to share the gospel. That's what we're here for, right? Yeah. We want to see the gospel spread, and some of the most fertile ground may be the parents that are dropping kids off at your event and the opportunity to go after them in the same time that we share the gospel with your kid.
You answered this question kind of as it came in of a lot of, my students, their parents aren't coming to church. Like, how do I get to them? And it's just get out in the parking lot, get in front of them. And I think that will become easier as you might have to have this perspective shift of, okay, I'm a kids minister. I'm a student minister. Like my number one priority is kids and students, right? You're going to be more effective, though, if you look at your resources and your calendar and invest more time in your volunteers and your parents, not to minimize the relationship necessity that you have to have with those kids, but you're going to have a farther reach if you equip leaders to do that well and families to do that well.
Leaders and families, but one of the things, and the question that came in is, man, I have a bunch of students, is what Josh said, that I don't know their parents. Well, it's our hope that you'd be collecting enough contact information for safety reasons, that there's a phone number or an email to make that connection. Like if these 3 kids are showing up and they've been there more than a week, you need their contact info in case something happens, in case their student is hurt. For all the liability reasons, turn liability into leverage for relationship building of like, man, I just wanted you to know I got to know your son and he's funny, or he's a delight, or he's a mess, and just find out more and connect in those ways. And you're beginning to tie those things through the phone calls and the emails and the parking lot conversations into the life of the church that extends beyond the program. Like this is something that like we cannot be like just passive and waiting, hoping they show up to programmed efforts. We need all the resources, all the assets that we can manage and leverage to go out, connect, and do the work. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I'd love to give everyone just one more opportunity to give 1 or 2
a new church name,
quick nugget, maybe another church name idea, final parting thoughts that you didn't get in about parent ministry. Would love to go around the horn, get one from each of you, and then we'll wrap up. Delanee, if you want to start.
Right. When I think about parent ministry, I think a group that many times we don't remember are our new and expectant parents. And so that's if parents are expecting through birth or adoption, when you are resourcing your parents, when you're supporting them, when you're connecting with them, you need to make sure you include that group.
Yeah.
Because that's a great way to begin building trust with them. Even before the baby's born or at home. And
Right.
so remember your new and expectant parents.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you shouted it out. Just have sensitivity to the people in the room. Not everyone is a parent, has the ideal family situation. Like, think about the diverse range of types of parents and family situations that you're reaching.
Exactly.
Yeah. Zach, what do you got for us?
Justice League Snyder's Cut Church.
There it is.
It's everything's in black and white, but it's 4K. I would remind you that you don't have to be the answer. You need to be the resource. You don't have to have all the questions answered, but to be available to connect them with the things that might be helpful, because parenting is hard. And one of the things, if you aren't a parent, to know is that it's hard on the regular. And if you are a parent, you know it's hard on the daily. And so having a trusted friend in the church that's going to bat for you as the kids minister, family minister, student minister, that is willing to listen, that is willing to be there. Because I don't always think to call them first, but I love it when I know that I can call. And knowing that they're thinking about our needs as they come up or even before we need them is my favorite thing about our kids ministry team. And so don't feel like just because they don't have a question for you every time doesn't mean they don't really need you.
Yeah, that's good. Chad, why don't you bring us home?
Yeah, the thing that I would remind us and encourage us in parent ministry is I was the byproduct of a pastor who my family didn't go to church, and he started coming by our house and just helping my dad work on the car in front and built that relationship. And through that relationship invited my dad to come to church. And for the first time as a little kid, we walked into a little bitty Baptist church, and I saw my dad come to know the Lord. And without a doubt, like, that was impactful in my life. And I can still remember him squeezing my knee and walking down that aisle. And so I think sometimes in Next Gen Ministry, when we think about ministering to parents, we have expectations of them coming, and it comes back to this like apathy of, well, parents don't seem to be picking up the resources and those kind of things. And the reminder of the opportunity to go after people, and to care for people and to love people, that it's more than a book, but the book is an opportunity to open up and to know who God is in their life. We talked a lot about connection today. Don't miss the opportunity that the reason that we would put somebody behind this table isn't just to grab the form or show the book, but it's the opportunity to talk to them and go, hey, like, man, you're grabbing these cards. What are some big questions? How can I pray for you? These are opportunities to engage in people's lives in a meaningful and impactful way. And so don't miss the opportunity to connect in parent ministry for something that really, really matters.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Chad. Delanee, Zach, thank you all for bringing your wisdom, and just thank you for your heart to serve the local church. I know that you guys love doing this, and would love for you guys to have a chance to connect with them. There'll be a follow-up email that's going to come to you that's going to have all those links of the many resources that we covered so that you can look deeper into those. And if you've got more questions, if you really need to connect with a kids ministry specialist, a student ministry specialist, and you're struggling, you need some help, reply to that email. Ask for help. We're here to serve the church. Like, that is our mission. We do that through resources, whether those are physical resources or the people that we have on the team here that want to serve you. So please continue to connect with us. You'll also see a survey pop up in your browser when this webinar ends, and that's just going to ask a couple questions about this experience. And if you've got suggestions or ideas for upcoming webinars, we would love to hear from you on what those might be. But be on the lookout for that email. It'll have a replay link of this video as well, so you can go back, watch it again, share it with your team. We know we've got some people joining who are watching this with their student team or their kids team. So use this as a resource for your team as well. And please follow up with us. We'd love to connect with you. Thank you again for joining.